Hello, welcome back to the Cars.co.za YouTube channel. My name is Ciro De Siena and I'm sitting on the inside of a new Ford Puma. This is a brand new car to South African roads. However, it's not a brand new car. In fact, it's been on sale in Britain for 4 years, where it is the best selling car in Britain. Britons buy more of these than anything else. British people, Britons. No, it's correct to say Britons. So, what is this Puma all about? Well, you've come to the right place. And if you're looking for a used Ford, we have many of them on our site. Maybe about 1,000. I'll check just now. There's lots of Fords, and we'll put a link to that stock in the description below. Right, here we go. Many things about the new Ford Puma. Cars.co.za. Dream Search Drive.
Cars.co.za.
A lifetime guarantee on all repairs is a lifetime of sidestepping, tackling, and modeling your speedos happily. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
Right, so what's happened with Ford in South Africa is they've sold the Ecosport for 10 years. It sold very well. We've reviewed that car a few times on our channel, so the links to that will pop up above my head somewhere and in the description below. But the Ecosport is no longer, because it was being made in India. Well, the one version was, and then that factory, they sold it. And then it was being made in Europe, but Ford Europe decided to stop making them, so Ford South Africa couldn't get any more stock. So for a while, Ford didn't have a nice little crossover to sell anyone, so they went after something else, and the only one really available to them was this, the Puma. Now, this car is not necessarily, though, an EcoSport replacement. It's quite a bit bigger, it's quite a bit fancier, and most importantly, it's quite a lot more expensive. So to get into a Ford Puma, you need to part with 569,000 of your hard-earned rands, and that will get you the titanium model. If you would like this one that I'm driving, you have to part with 613,000 Rand, and that will get you into this S-Line. S-Line? S-T-Line. S-Line. S-Line. I feel like Ace Ventura. S-T-Line. Which I really like. It's got a body kit, it's got slightly sportier suspension, it's got a couple of little accents here and there, and I think this is the one I'd have if I could spring for the money. So, Ciro, you may be asking, how is the Puma better or different to the EcoSport to justify that significant price increase? Well, it is a much more premium offering. Car journalists love to say the word premium. It just means it's a little bit more fancy. So you get a sort of fancier interior with a nice leather dashboard with contrast stitching. You get this carbon fibre look on the dashboard as well. You get a fancier steering wheel. However, it's not hugely different from the EcoSport. For instance, you get the same screen. It's a little bit small, I would say, for a car in this segment. But it's a bit of a mix of nice materials. The headline is really nice, and some cheap materials, but I think they've got away with it. It feels like a much fancier interior than it did in the EcoSport. So it sort of feels like you're getting your money worth for what is a more premium product. This is closer to, say, a BMW X1 in the interior or an Audi than it is to, say, an EcoSport. Okay, so Sean doesn't agree. He thinks this is a Fiesta, basically. Right, well, everyone has their own opinions. A couple of other nice touches include a sort of double panoramic roof thing, automatic climate control, but it's not dual zone, so you'll have to argue with your significant other about how cold or warm they are. 2 USB ports down here, 12 volts, and you get a wireless charging pad as standard. That's standard equipment, which is quite nice. The other thing that it has going for it is a very safe car. It's got all the airbags you could want, including curtain airbags, so that will protect you and your rear passengers in the event of a rollover or a side collision. So it's highly spec'd. Generally speaking, European spec cars are very highly spec'd when it comes to safety systems, so that's nice. One of the areas it doesn't differ from the EcoSport at all, which is quite interesting, is under the bonnet. So you get a 1-litre 3-cylinder turbocharged motor, and that is exactly the same as the EcoSport. Now, look, it's a tried and tested motor. I actually quite like it. I've never heard of too many issues of it. No one's really ever come to me and said, oh, I've had a terrible time with this motor. If you maybe haven't had a good experience, or if you've had a good experience, maybe tell us about it in the comments below. But a lot of people tell me about their problems, their car problems. I'm like an agony aunt of motoring, and I haven't heard much about this engine. It's been around for a long time, and I think they did a good job with it. Interestingly, this 3-cylinder motor has cylinder deactivation, and I'm like, are there enough cylinders to deactivate 1 or 2 of them? Apparently it only deactivates 1, and it's when you really don't need that much power, like you're coasting, whatever the case may be, and it can re-engage the cylinder in 14 milliseconds, so you don't really notice. And I haven't noticed. If no one told me, I wouldn't know that it had cylinder deactivation. So I think the system really works. And obviously the system is designed to improve fuel consumption, and I think the fuel average in here is pretty good. We're doing 7.7. I must be honest, me and the film crew and the other journos, I think we tend to have heavier right feet than the average motorist. So I reckon you could get down into the 6s here. And for a petrol powered car of this size, I actually think that's pretty impressive. On the open road, it might be even better. So that's good. Box ticked. But an area where it differs from the EcoSport is in terms of noise, vibration, and harshness, NVH, which just talks about the sort of serenity of the car, how much vibration and road noise, wind noise is making it into the cabin. And I feel like this is a better insulated car. I feel like it rides better, it has a better suspension system. It is a more expensive feeling ride quality, if that makes sense, than you got offered in the EcoSport. The EcoSport sort of felt more like a budget car compared to this. This feels like it has premium ride quality, and it's the sort of car, really, I could daily this car. It's nice. It does everything you need it to do. It's comfy. It looks pretty good, in my opinion. The looks have grown on me, I must say. And the engine does all the things I need an engine to do. It's fine for overtaking. It's good in the city. The gearbox is a dual clutch. It seems to know what it's doing most of the time, which is good. It's a nice daily. I would happily daily this car. I think that if you need to do the school run or whatever the case may be, it's a good car. It's got a huge boot, a really, really useful boot, which I will now demonstrate to you. Right, the boot. There's a lot to get through here. Let's go. So let's say you arrive at your boot and you're carrying a lot of things. You just swing your foot as long as the key is in your pocket, and the tailgate opens. The tailgate is electric by standard, right? Then we put that in there. That sort of shows you how big the boot is in its kind of original format. But this gets very complicated now. So let me get that out of there, because I'd like to show you a few things. If you pick up the boot lid and do that, you get a whole other level. Then you get a massive boot. This is actually 460 liters. It's really, really big. But you can go down another level. So this lifts and clips into place, which is quite clever. Then you get, and I'm not making this up, the Ford Mega Box. That's its actual name. So you move this out of the way and you find a spare wheel. But in South Africa, it's sort of a semi-mega box because, well, there's a spare tire inside. So I'd like to show you how big the mega box actually is though without the spare tire, but I can't imagine a situation where you'd want to leave your spare tire at home. So this all actually does look like a bit of an afterthought. And one of the reasons why I think it's an afterthought is because in the UK, instead of getting a spare tire mounting point, which I'll show you eventually, you get there's really a lot going on here. There's your jack. So you see where that mounting point is, that should be a drainage plug so that you can put dirty things in here and then you can wash it out with a hose or a bucket or whatever you like, and it will just drain out of the bottom of the car. So you don't get that in South Africa. I can't imagine a situation where you'd want to leave your spare tire out of the car. That doesn't really make sense. But then you can't really use this groot doos, as it will be called in South Africa, to its full potential. So it's a little bit confusing because it would be a very, very useful, practical extra to have in your boot, but in South Africa, it is a bit compromised. But I know South Africans prefer having a spare wheel. So it's a little bit, it's a difficult one to sort of review on this case. I'm not sure what the best way to use your boot is, and I suppose I'll leave that up to you. But then there are a couple of other features. So I'm going to remove our light out of here. How cool is our light? And I'll put the boot floor down. And if you fold this into this position, which is its sort of top position, it's like a 3-story boot this, and then you fold the seats down, you get a completely flat load area, and you can still move this. There's a lot going on here. Someone really put some thought into this. That is a practical and versatile boot. Then you have an electric tailgate. Wow, there's really a lot going on here. Okay. To me, that's the messiest boot scene I've ever done in my life. Okay, mega box reassemble. It's like a really version of Transformers, this. Right, the back seats, and it is compact back here. I mean, I'm sure you can see on camera, I have almost no knee room, don't have much headroom. It's okay for kids back here, but it really won't be great for adults. And then there are a lot of things missing. There's no USB ports to charge your things. There's no rear air vents. There's no center armrest. There's no drinks holders except for those in the door. I've seen much cheaper cars with a lot more equipment than this, but there are some nice touches. You do get this manual blind on the rear panoramic roof, so that's quite nice. You do get a proper third safety belt, although I have no idea how you'd fit 3 people in here, and you do get ISOFIX child seat mounts on both sides of the car. So I have this thing I sometimes call cars handbag cars, and I'm not trying to be derogatory to anyone who likes a handbag, but a handbag is the sort of thing where you might spend more on it than is absolutely necessary because you would like a nice handbag. And so a car like this, in my opinion, is the sort of car where you could get better value, so to speak. You could get more car for your money elsewhere, but maybe you want something that looks quite fancy and feels quite fancy, so you spend a bit more than you need to. So this, I think, is one of those cars. Other cars like this for me sometimes are the Mini, for instance. Like a Mini is not a very good value car, let's put it that way. And the Puma kind of fits between a practical family runaround and a handbag car, and that's actually quite good. That's not a bad compromise. Let's quickly go over the pricing again. $569 for the titanium, which is your entry into the Puma range, and then for this ST-Line Vignale edition, very fancy sounding, $613 before some options. Our car has a couple of options fitted, some nice ones as well. For instance, you've got radar guided cruise with traffic assist, so it will crawl in traffic for you and stop start. That's quite nice. That's an extra 21,000 Rand. So price as tested here is 653,000 Rand. But let me make some comparisons in the market to the entry point of the Puma, call it 570. Now, if this car had arrived 5 to 6 years ago, when a lot less brands were on the market, especially from China, the price in isolation would have looked okay. However, there are now many competitors to this car available for less money. So $570 for this, you can get a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, which is quite a large vehicle, but bigger than this. And you can get one of those for about $450. So that's a saving of 120,000 Rand. So this car is Jolyon sized, and you can get a Jolyon, a base spec Jolyon with not many features, but you can get one for 200,000 Rand less than this, which is quite a lot of money. You can actually get the largest Haval SUV, an H6, which is a 2-liter all-wheel drive dual clutch gearbox. You can get one of those for 60 grand less than an entry-level Puma. And you can get a top-spec Mahindra XUV 700, which is a 7-seater, has got lots of features. In my opinion, a very nice car with all the safety features you could want. You can get one for the same price as the entry Puma, and that's quite a lot of car for your money. So the Indian brands and the Chinese brands, as we know, as we've spoken about many times before on this channel, have upended the market, and it is difficult for the legacy brands to compete. One of the ways in which this car feels very premium is it has a 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system as standard. So let's listen to what that sounds like. I'm going to be a little bit naughty while I'm at the stop street and put my favorite song on. One of my favorite songs at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I must go louder, surely.
You're stuck in my head, stuck in my heart, stuck in my body. I wanna go, get out of here, I'm sick of the party.
This is Sean's favorite part of the day when we do a sound system test.
This is the part you gotta say all that
It's
you
really good, bassy, very clear vocals. Like it. Carly Rae Jepsen, so underrated. It's like Taylor Light.
I could be driving you all night, and I'll find your lips in the street lights. I wanna be there with you. Take me to the feeling. I'll be your secret. When the lights go out, run away with me, run away with me, every single minute. I'll be your hero when the lights go out, run with me, run away with me.
Oh, that is a banging sound system. What a treffer as well. Love it. Carly Rae. Where did she go, eh? She was good. She kind of shone brightly and then left. Anyway, moving on. Right to the Ford Puma. If you want a Ford Puma and you don't mind spending this money, you are not going to be disappointed. This is a lovely car. It's a really nice car. It does everything well. I'd happily drive this every single day. No problem at all. However, if you are looking to stretch your rands and get the most car for your money, then the Puma is not the answer, unfortunately. There are now many options for you to choose from if you want an SUV or a crossover, and much larger cars as well. And the Chinese cars are also very well spec'd as well. When it comes to your warranty, for instance, you'll get a longer warranty from Mahindra, from Honda, from Kia, from Chery. You'll get a similar warranty from Haval. It's 4-year 120,000 on this, 5-year 100,000 on the Haval, 5-year 150,000 on the Chery, for instance, and 5-year 200,000 on the Honda. It's one of the best warranties in South Africa, actually. And that would be the HR-V that I'm speaking about, which would be a competitor to this car. Now, as I mentioned, the Puma has been around for a while in Britain, and there should be a facelift coming out in that market this year. However, Ford, we did ask them, and Ford have said that they probably will not bring the facelift to South Africa. So that's what they're saying at the moment. Whether that changes or not remains to be seen. But I think you can buy a Puma right now and not worry too much that a facelift will be coming out, which will affect, of course, the value, the second-hand value of your car. I really like this car. I've been quite surprised by it. I think Ford is in a difficult position at the moment. They don't have the Figo anymore. They don't have the Fiesta. They don't have the Ecosport. This is actually the cheapest car that Ford sells. So you can buy this or a Ranger or an Everest. I think, are those the only Fords sell that they sell now in South Africa? I think that's the case, actually. So that's quite an interesting position to be in, and maybe they have a plan to bring in something under the Puma. But right now, if you want a Ford badge on your driveway, this is the most affordable way to get one. But you know, there are other ways to spend your money inside the brand. For instance, I looked on our site just now. The best way to look through our 75,000 cars is on our app. We'll put the links to that in the description below. And you could get yourself something like a really nice 3 or 4-year-old previous gen Ford Everest with very little mileage for less money than this. And I know maybe you don't want a Ford Everest. It's too big, it's difficult to park, it's not really the sort of car you need. You're looking for a hatchback run around. However, it just shows you what sort of value there is on the second-hand market for this kind of price. So I think in summary, the Puma offers an experience which is closer to the more premium brands on the market. Your German brands, the Kias for instance, which have gone really nicely up market at a good price point. It's more of like a mini experience than it is, say, an Ecosport experience. But you do pay the price for it. It is quite a pricey car for a car this physical size. Right, thank you very much for supporting the Cars YouTube channel. We'd love it if you subscribed and joined us on our adventures. We have over 800 videos in our back catalogue, so if you're looking for a car review, you'll probably find it there. Alrighty, see you on the next one. Be safe. Bye.
Cars.co.za.
You can't claim that Budget doesn't have your back. Sure, but you can claim via WhatsApp. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.